So, an episode of The Empire Files, hosted by journalist Mike Preisner, dived into Ron DeSantis' role at Guantanamo Bay, and he interviewed Mansour Adaifi, who was a detainee at Guantanamo, and there's some interesting information revealed. It turns out Ron DeSantis is a war criminal, so let's take a look at that.
As you know, Guantanamo, Mike, it was created out of the legal zone, out of the legal system, out of the humanity, basically. Torture was the mechanism of Guantanamo. Torture, abuse, and experimenting on prisoners at Guantanamo. We went on a massive hunger strike in 2005, and was like over 500 prisoners participated in the hunger strike. And at that time, the only way to calm us down were they told us, okay, we are going to talk to listen to your need. We believed them that they would negotiate and talk to us. And we told them that's what we need, But it was a trap, basically. It was a trap. I mean, everything turned upside down. So we went again on hunger strike. We were on force feeding. It was torture. We were bleeding all the time. And I saw a fucking handsome person who was coming. He said, I'm here to ensure that you're treating humanely. And we said, okay, this is our demand. We were not asking for much, At the beginning, he was just...
It was Ron DeSantis.
Yes, exactly. The person.
He said, I'm here to ensure you're being treated humanely.
Yes, exactly. And if you have any problems, if you have any concerns, just talk to me. And, we were drowning at that place. I'm like, oh, this is cool. That person actually... writing something, he will raise the concerns, but it was piece of the game. What they were doing, they were looking what's hurt you more to use it against you. By the end of 2005, 2006, when he was there, one of the worst time at Guantanamo, literally. And they cracked on us so hard when they came to break our hunger strike, when we went again on force feeding. I swear by my God, Mike, they brought piles of ensure, and they start force feeding us over and over again. And Ron DeSantis was there and watching us. We were crying, screaming. We were tied to the feeding chair, and that guy, he was watching that, he was laughing, basically. It was hurt like hell. And I was screaming, like, when I was screaming, I look at him, and he was actually smiling, like, as someone who enjoying it. When they used to feed us, because our stomach cannot hold this amount of ensure. They used to pour ensure one can after another. So when he approached me, I said, this is the way we are treated. You should start to eat. I threw up in his face, literally on his face.
Ron DeSantis.
In his face, yeah. They used to, restrain us in the feeding chair, which like 8 point. They tied our heads, our shoulder, our wrist, our thighs, and our legs. And they came, and that was really thick tube. They call it French 17 or something through our nose. And they keep doing this over and over again. And they put some kind laxative in the feeding liquid, with like we shit in ourselves all the time. Then we would be moved to a solitary confinement, really cold cells. If we throw up, and we used to get it like 5 times a day. It wasn't feeding. It was torture, so we couldn't handle it for 5 or 5 days. We couldn't, because 5 times a day, you can't. You cannot possibly handle it, because they just kept pouring the ensure. And in 1 week, they break all the hunger strikers. In 1 week, totally. It was a mission. And he was there. And not just that, they used to also beat us. And if we scream or pain, bleeding came out on our nose and mouth, they would like, eat. The only word they told you, eat, eat, eat. We were beating all day long, all day. There's a team. Whatever you do, they just beat you. Pepper spray, beating, sleep deprivation, that continued for 3 months. And he was there because at the beginning, he told us that he was there to ensure we are treated humanely. And if we have concern or issues, he will take it. But he's one of the people who actually survived the torture, the abuses, the beating all the time at Guantanamo.
So you're saying that DeSantis initially, because he presented himself as the lawyer whose job it was to ensure you're being treated humanely, then you and other detainees told him the things that were the hardest for you to deal with, the things that you felt needed to change. And then instead of actually making sure those things changed and that your human rights are respected, he then basically was gathering intelligence to then tell the prison camp and the interrogators what it was that was impacting you most so they could do it more to you.
Exactly. That what happened there, because the things we used to tell them, it turned against us. Everything we talked to him become multiple because he was looking at the impact on you, what hurt you more. Ron DeSantis was there all the time because his job to walk around and talk to prisoners. I'm here to ensure you are being treated humanely. I'm telling Americans, if this is humanity, this guy is torture, is a criminal.
And here, reacting to these revelations, we have Haas of the Infrared Show. Let's see what he has to say.
And this is pretty horrific to listen to. And you want to talk about empathy and all this shit? Well, let's start here, right? Because these people were getting tortured in Guantanamo Bay. And Ron DeSantis was appointed as the human rights lawyer who was supposed to represent them. And let's see what happened. Just to give you some insight into the character of this Ron DeSantis guy and what kind of sick psychopaths we're dealing with and you're dealing with that make up our ruling class.
And that guy, he was watching that, he was laughing basically.
I don't know why this is giving me PTSD, because I was never tortured at Guantanamo, obviously, but I just remember, you guys don't remember this. I was young. I mean, you probably do, if you're my age. But the War on Terror brought out a lot of really sick, sadistic personalities. All of that pent-up viciousness in American suburban life. I mean, there was such of sick evil and sadism. Extreme levels of psychopathy. The War on Terror was like an orgy for these psychos. They loved it. They loved the way in which these horrific crimes, they could get away with them, that they would never otherwise be able to without being serious. I mean, this guy, you see him right here. The only difference between him and Jeffrey Dahmer is that he's smarter than Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer got caught. He uses the system to exercise his sadistic, sick, twisted impulses. It's the only difference. I want you to know who we're fucking. And by the way, you don't know what goes behind the scenes. I mean, if you can torture someone like this, what else can you fucking do? You don't think DeSantis is involved with stuff like Epstein's Island? I mean, you have no idea what these people do behind closed doors. These are really rotten, sick people. And I remember the War on Terror was so traumatic for me, I guess, growing up in a way, was because it coupled degenerate kind of American culture, MTV and titties hanging out, whatever, things from a Muslim background is just pretty shocking to me from a conservative household. They combined that with this kind of overwhelming use of military force to dominate other countries. And to me, that's what I find. I was from a conservative household. And there was something so nihilistically twisted about this combination of cultural openness combined with technology to enforce, right? It's because it was not a patriarchal form of authority that I could somehow respect. It was a really twisted, sickening, inhuman form of authority that can only be compared to something like Skynet from the Terminator, just this inhuman force. And people like this were there. Patriarchal authority is based on a motivation, a purpose, a meaning. It has meaning. This is just hell on earth, man.
So, as that former detainee described, at the time, during the Bush administration, Ron DeSantis was a judge advocate general. So he was a lawyer. He went to law school, but he was hired by the Navy as a lawyer. But what he would do is he would go there and he would tell the detainees that I'm here to protect you. But what he was really doing was he was gathering information to give to the authorities so that they could figure out how they could torture them more. Understand, Ron DeSantis is your typical neocon stooge. He agrees with the neocons on foreign policy and neoliberals on trade. He's for regime change wars, and when he was in Congress, he wanted to raise the minimum wage, the age for Medicare and Social Security from 65 to 70. And what do you know? He's also a war criminal, and he hasn't even been elected president yet. Well, he's not going to get elected president. The American people have had it with neocon elites. That's my objective analysis. That's not just me stating my opinion, saying he's not going to win because I don't like him. That's my objective analysis. The American people have had it with neocon elites like DeSantis, and that's why he'll lose the 2024 primary to Trump. Anyway, there you have it.